Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is the video for the 17th of August, and the title is No Sugarcoating, Just Actual Experience. To me, no one and no group has created more delay of manifesting good on earth than those that live in denial and refuse to acknowledge the truthful reality of human experience. I sincerely apologize for ever propagating such nonsense. Yes, I still think it's all going to ultimately play out for the highest good, though the loss of my home and health challenges since 2015 have forced me to face the possibility that I may never see fulfillment of my life mission. And then in parentheses I have, coming back as someone else is not a solution to me. Continuing, that thought angers me, and the lack of response by those still sucked into the denial and lying mentality only exacerbate the problem. As long as I am able, I will tell my truth without the sugarcoating recommended by my friends who keep trying to tell me how wrong I am. Anyway, here's my definition of illusion: that which has not yet manifested. Reality is that which has manifested. We've been taught it backwards to control us. And my eyes are getting bad. I realize I'm probably going to have to get glasses because when you see me pause when I'm reading something, it's because it's getting blurry and I'm not seeing the words clearly. And that's a problem that I'm admitting to. But in any case, today has been a day that I've looked at a lot of things. I've had a lot of long articles read to me. And again, I say read to me because I have a program that reads them to me so that I can get away from the computer and listen, and I don't have to sit in front of the screen. As I've said in other videos, I try to avoid that as much as possible. But getting back to the topic, and I could have had several topics today that came up for future videos, but I mean, there's been so much going on in my thought process. And anyway, I'm back at the no sugarcoating thing. Folks, I used to think that the reality was what I envisioned. I hadn't manifested yet, but I envisioned it as the truth. I realize now, and I've realized it for a while, that no, truth is not something that may be a vision. I could express it as this is my vision, but it's not the truth. It's not reality. Reality is what I actually experience. And you say to me, Ron, we live in a world that's programmed. Yes, I wish everybody would get that. Even some of the people that don't acknowledge that that's what we live in. We live in a world that's been programmed obviously by people and beings that do not have our best interest at heart. They are trying their damnedest to control us and to destroy everybody that is a free thinker and only keep enough people on hand, like 500 million people, or 500 million people, in other words, and get rid of all the rest, the useless eaters, and just keep enough on hand that are willing slaves to serve the system and do what they're told and don't think outside the box, don't think for themselves, don't challenge anything, because challenging something goes against the grain of those that are trying to be deceptive. It's always going to be that way. That's why they do everything behind closed doors. That's why they don't want you attending and knowing what goes on in Bohemian Grove. That's why they don't want you to know what goes on in these big meetings of the international bankers and the international so-called elite. They don't want you to know what they're doing, because if we knew what they were doing, we'd probably not agree to it. Not probably. Anybody except those that think that they can benefit from the fraud are going to stand up against it. and going to stand up to it. And they're not going to allow the BS to continue. So we have to be kept in the dark. We have to be deceived. And that's the only way that they can have any possibility of fulfilling their one world domination of human population and making the human population a slave race, making humanity a slave race. And they don't care, folks, about any of the players. It's irrelevant because the beings that are behind it are, they leech the energy from other beings because they don't have their own, they are not creative. They use the creative ability of slaves that they convince can benefit. They sell you a bill of goods that you can benefit if you create for them. And what do they want to create? They want to create better weapons. They want to create better tools to spy on people. They want to create all sorts of technologies that make them superior and make humanity inferior. But humanity was created to be like God, to be creators ourselves. We have the power of creation, but we've used it against ourselves because we've allowed ourselves to become deceived. We've allowed the wool to be pulled over our eyes. Or if we didn't allow it, we got sucked into not seeing it. And it's a catch-22. And I wish to God there was something that I personally could do. But as I said in the blurb, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this planet. I don't know. And living without a home, living at someone else's, even if he is my son, living under his roof, and having to, it's so ridiculous. Anyway, it just gave me a warning message that there's high usage on my computer, and that's not true. It's simply not true. I have one browser open and the things that I'm recording with. That's all that's open. But anyway, folks, you don't have to listen. If you want to leave and not listen, fine. I'm not going to go after people that disagree with me. I'm not going to go on their web pages like people do on mine and put dislikes and try to make comments that are derogatory or negative. You can be wherever you want to be. But I'm going to continue to speak what I see as the reality of the world we live in. And some of that's going to step on toes. And some of it's stepping on my own toes of where I've been and how I've seen things. I have to be willing to admit that, yes, I've been wrong too. And if you're in the know-it-all thing of self-righteousness and that you can never make a mistake, you can never be deceived, whatever you believe is true, regardless of any alternative, and you're not willing to look at facts, you're not willing to consider other alternative viewpoints, then you're the closed-minded one. I'm trying my best to be open-minded and to be loving, but I'm not going to be walked over. I'm not going to be subjugated to any more negativity than I absolutely have to be. I'm going to try to put up protective barriers wherever I can, because I want to get as much life out of the rest of my life as I possibly can. And I'm in a state where I just simply don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this planet unless something major happens that turns things around. Anyway, that's my talk for today, and I thank you for listening. As always, share it if you think that it's beneficial for others to listen to, and I wish the best for humanity. I wish the best for every being, because love does that. That's what love does. Love doesn't, it's not one-upmanship. It's not trying to be dominant. It's trying to be truthful and loving. Anyway, namaste.